Viewers, the first story that we focus on is the Nexus that came to fore during Operation Sindoor. India faced a situation of one border with three clear adversaries. It was Pakistan, China and Turkey. And now Pakistan and China nexus is not new, it's known, but in fact it is the one with Turkey that is even more important and needs to be prepared for. The two-front war that India has been preparing for since 2015 has now become a three-front war, and that's the focus on fault lines today. And as we speak, the Turkish Defence Minister and Turkish Foreign Minister have just concluded their high-profile visits to Pakistan. Now, what's their aim? Their aim is to build a broader pan-Islamic brotherhood that ties the two countries together and possibly to double down on their defense ties. Now, what's at the heart of this? At the heart of this is their anti-India sentiment. Before we go any further, I want to first play out that soundbite of the Turkish foreign minister, and then we put all of this in context for you.
We have in Southern Asia. In April-May, there has been tension experienced between Pakistan and India, which we closely followed, and all the international society has seen the wisdom-oriented and calm attitude of Pakistan. This tension has been an important indicator that when two nuclear powers come face-to-face, that this is going to have very severe results. We have actually seen the ceasefire as an important decision, and in order to eliminate similar tensions, we believe that there has to be meaningful and efficient dialogue between the parties. As Turkey, we're always ready to support this so that there will be peace and there will not be any clashes.
All right, that was the soundbite that puts everything in context as to why this visit was so high profile, so important, and the reason why this fault line needs to be decoded. Now, viewers, ever since Erdogan came to power in 2003 in Turkey, Ankara has doubled down on its political Islam, its version of Islam, which, of course, has anti-India sentiment as at its very core. Now, this version of political Islam will continue to be the force through which Turkey wants to become the leader of the Muslim world. And this report tells you how Turkey and Pakistan have deepened their almost 75-year-old partnership and why this partnership now needs to be decoded in greater detail.
In less than 4 years of its birth, Pakistan, born out of undivided India on the premise of a separate nation for India's 95 million Muslims, signed a treaty with Turkey of eternal friendship. And since then, this alliance has continued to grow. And this alignment isn't theoretical, it's vocal, visible and documented. Only recently, Turkey has repeatedly taken direct aim at India, not just through weapon sales, but also on the world stage. From spinning tall tales against India at the UN to trying to influence the OIC contract group. Fast forward to today, Turkey supplies over 350 drones to Pakistan during its recent standoff with India. Pakistan, in turn, opens up its water for joint gas exploration, and the Chinese, well, they're not just watching, they're weaponizing this axis. Take Gwadar port, for example, a Chinese port in Pakistani hands protected by Turkish drones and positioned directly in India's maritime backyard. Each of them gets something. China tests weapons, Turkey expands influence in the Islamic world, and Pakistan, well, it just survives another day while beating India by proxy.
All right, viewers, that told you the partnership, how it has thrived in the last 75 years. And now it's time to decode what is it that lies ahead. First up, let's talk about the defense partnership, the deepening of the defense ties between Pakistan and Turkey. Now, Turkey is Pakistan's second largest weapon supplier, next only to China. Now, the second important part is that it also supports Pakistan's major naval modernization. There's a $1 billion plus deal that is for the corvettes. Then there are upgrades to the Augusta 90B submarines, all that in the pipeline, where the reason Ankara is so important for Islamabad. And third and foremost also is the fact that the Pakistani drone development relies very heavily on Turkish machinery. We've talked about the Bayraktar drones that we saw during Operation Sindoor. The backbone of that is this partnership, which is why this is so important. Now, that's the defense side of it. Let's now also talk about the specific arms sales that could be in the pipeline. This meeting is important. It's likely to have two clear implications. This could be one, the arms sales, the potential arms sales that could be there. Now, in small arms category, it could be the MPT rifles, which will have an impact as far as infantry modernization for Islamabad is concerned. Next could be the tanks that could have a huge boost to the armored capabilities of Pakistan. This could be the Alte MBT category of tanks. And the third and last could be the missiles, which would have a huge impact on the strike and air defense capabilities as far as Turkey is concerned. Now, why this is all important, one needs to also understand from a geopolitical side of it. As far as the defense side of it is concerned, we're going to try and get in my colleague Shivaru to decode this in greater detail. But the most important part one needs to understand is the strategic alignment as far as Pakistan and Turkey is concerned. We spoke about the defense side of it. This is the geopolitical aspect to it as to why this matters. Pakistan backs Turkey when it comes to its Saudi-UAE Muslim rivalry. That's the jostling that has been going on with Erdogan and some of its Gulf neighbors since 2003. And Pakistan helps Ankara there, and which is why this is so important. And the next part is it backs Turkey when it comes to its campaign against Greece in the UN. So this is a symbiotic relationship, viewers, we told you. There is the defense side of it, there's a geopolitical side to it, and the underlying theme and the backbone of that, of course, is the Pan-Islamic Brotherhood. Now, let me now get in my colleague Shivaru to talk more about the impact this has as far as the defense capabilities, the larger messaging. Shiv, we told our viewers as to why this visit is so significant, the importance of it, but help us decode what it could potentially mean from a war preparedness point of view.
This is a very important issue that you've raised, Gauri, and the reason why the nexus between Pakistan and Turkey is so important is because, remember, Pakistan already has a literally endless supply of weaponry courtesy China, but by liaising with Turkey and as has been demonstrated visibly during Operation Sindoor, Turkey is not just a seller of equipment to Pakistan. There are all those geopolitical and strategic links that you just described. There is the Pan-Islamic Brotherhood that Erdogan has been looking for. But very, very importantly, Turkey's military-industrial complex has actually been remarkably successful. This is a country that's in a bit of the doghouse as far as the United States is concerned. But as a member of NATO, there are many other considerations as far as India is concerned for the fact that Turkey has not only been supplying attack drones to Pakistan, many of which were used mostly unsuccessfully against India during Operation Sindoor, but there are many other pieces of equipment, including possibly attack helicopters, tanks like you just mentioned, other ground equipment, air defense missiles, and other lower cost military hardware could find a very steady and reliable supplier in Turkey as far as Pakistan is concerned. So you have a situation where if hostilities break out, Pakistan can depend not just on China, but also on Turkey. Point number two is Turkey is looking at itself as a kind of rising regional sphere of influence in that area. The sticking point has been Greece. India did its own messaging recently as far as Cyprus is concerned. Ties with Greece have also increased, very much targeted at the manner in which Turkey is now looked at as a combatant and a hostile entity as far as India is concerned, even though we have close diplomatic relations. But the nexus between China, Pakistan and Turkey is one that needs to be looked at extremely closely. You had India's Deputy Army Chief explicitly call this out recently, which is unprecedented on many levels, but it will remain to be seen how it goes out. Remember, the one thing we'll have to look out is a very volatile, whimsical and unpredictable president sitting in the White House in the United States. And therefore, any actions or any strategies that India espouses or embraces in order to handle this entire nexus is going to to be very dependent on what's happening in Washington, D.C.
Absolutely, Shiv. Thanks much for breaking that down for us. NDTV's managing editor, Shiv Arur, giving us that lowdown in terms of why this is significant and why this is so important. Now, viewers, Turkey isn't just flexing regional muscles. It wants to be the leader of the Muslim world. And to get there, Erdogan needs loyal allies. And in this rivalry with the Saudis, with the Emiratis, it's going to be the Pakistanis and the Malaysians who are going to be handy for Erdogan, which is why these bonds are getting forged over political Islam and their shared hostility towards a Hindu majority but a secular India. Now, what's the plan? The plan is to shout down India, isolate it diplomatically, flood global forums with false narratives. But what's the thorn in their side? Well, a rising confident India willing to call Turkey's bluff. India backed Cyprus in Erdogan's backyard. It is supporting Armenia against the Turkey-backed Azerbaijan. The message is loud and clear for Erdogan. But India needs to continue with its deft diplomacy, viewers, because it's not just Pakistan. Turkey's tango now extends to Bangladesh, where two defense industrial corridors are on the table and several high-profile visits are also likely. So this nexus that we spoke about, it extends from Pakistan to Turkey to China and possibly to Bangladesh as well. Blinkers, viewers, are finally off.